Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution with breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. We're back. We took a little bit of a break due to the biggest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth, Bitcoin 2023. So amazing seeing a lot of you guys in the flesh, in person. Really, really appreciated all the hugs, all the love. Opti, got his cherry popped. He was on the analyst desk for the first time. I think he absolutely killed it. So it was exciting times, but I think the signal was really some of the talks. To me personally, one of my favorite was RFK Jr., who is currently running for president. And he said some things that we're going to talk about today. And of course, another highlight for me personally was Tulsi Gabbard. And she had an incredible speech as well. And I got to meet her in person, which was amazing. So definitely a lot of highlights. And the reason I'm focusing on those two specifically is because we've seen this trend of partisanship, specifically when it comes to Bitcoin. Like it was like the Republicans that are being a little bit more open-minded to it. But I said this also at the conference, the fact that it's two Democrats, or, Tulsi Gabbard, that was a Democrat, she kind of stepped away, but RFK Jr., who's running as a Democrat, right? So now it's bipartisan. And this is exactly what we want to happen. We don't want Bitcoin to become a partisan issue, because it's not a partisan issue. It helps everybody equally, right? So beautiful, beautiful trend. And again, I can't believe we have a person who's currently in second place, trailing Joe Biden, basically making the case for Bitcoiners as to why Bitcoiners should vote for him. And we've said this many times on the show. It's not red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat. It's orange versus green. And I'm glad he's on the party of green, so very, very bullish about that. But before we start the show, I want to bring up my legendary co-host, always optimistic, Opti. How you doing today, bro? How do you feel? Crazy, crazy week.
Man, I feel great. I was just telling everyone in Spaces, it was an absolute love fest, and it feels good to get your battery recharged with fellow lunatics out there. So, shouts out to every single one of you guys that came up to me, showed me love. It meant a lot. It's really inspiring that, Nico and I can just talk into a computer and provide you guys value, and you guys incorporate us into your life. And it's just, it blows my mind. This internet stuff, this magic internet money really is an incredible, incredible technology. And TLDR, guys, we are winning, and it's becoming more and more obvious that we are winning. It is our world, and everyone else is just living in it. So it feels good, man. It really feels good to be on this side of Bitcoin content creation and seeing all the work that the Bitcoin Mag team did, all the work that all the Bitcoiners did at the conference. And it's just beautiful, man. It really does feel good. And obviously, I would have liked to stay in Miami a little longer, but hey, we got to get back on the mission and get back to work. So here we are. But Nico, I can tell you're still recovering a little bit. Your voice isn't fully back.
Yeah, I'm recovering a little bit. My hair is still tipped.
Who is this guy?
My hair is still tipped. If you guys want to know what happened, watch the previous live show. I think we recorded last Tuesday. I also want to bring up a very special guest, and actually a good friend of mine. Consider him a brother, Chris Alamo. He's also the genius. He's a lot of the brains behind the media organization over there at Bitcoin Magazine. How you doing, Chris Alamo? By the way, absolutely slayed it on the analyst desk. This guy was such a professional.
I'd vote for Chris. I would vote for Chris.
I would totally vote for Chris too.
I don't want that responsibility. I saw Vake saying simply Bitcoin recovering from Miami. Bitcoin Magazine is definitely recovering from Miami. But no, truly a pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me here. You guys crushed it on the news desk as well. So glad to give you guys the opportunity to be up there. I had a fun time.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm happy to hear you on the show. And today we're going to talk about some things that happened at the conference. Probably throughout the week, we're going to talk about some things that happened throughout the conference. But today specifically, we're gonna cover RFK Jr. and some of his comments, some videos that he was in, and we'll take it from there. Anyways, guys, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the show. Let's do it.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Brought to you by Nodl. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse because now you can run a Nodl through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. Guys, I want to tell you about the biggest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth. I can't say it's coming up. It's exactly a year from now. Bitcoin 2024. They relocated. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, which is freaking awesome. So there's two cities that I really consider hubs, right? There's Austin, which is like the Bitcoin energy hub. And then there's Nashville, which I consider the cultural hub. Bitcoin Magazine headquarters are there. Bitcoin Park is there. It's freaking awesome. If you guys have never been, this is a great excuse to make the pilgrimage. Again, biggest Bitcoin conference of the year, Bitcoin 2024, July 25th through the 27th in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you get your tickets now, you get an early bird special. All things are extremely, extremely cheap right now. And you can use the promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a nice discount. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 26,880 sats per dollar, 3,720, block height 790,914, reachable Bitcoin nodes 17,096, blocks to halving 49,086, halving estimates April 21st, 2024, total Lightning Network capacity 5,319, capacity value around 143 million US dollars. The realized monetary inflation rate of Bitcoin is 1.75%, and the market capitalization of Bitcoin $520 billion with a B. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still a baby. Anyways, in honor of Peaks a Day, here's maybe an unknown fact for you, but it says check out this tweet by JP_technology, and he says on Bitcoin Peaks a Day, Laszlo Hanesk, sorry guys, you know how bad I am at pronouncing things, is credited with performing Bitcoin's first real-world transaction, offering 10,000 Bitcoin to whoever would order him to Peaksas. Right. Mind you, that's like $276 million today. And a lot of people are like, why would he do that or whatever? You have to understand that nothing existed like Bitcoin before. Like the idea that this thing would somehow have value is so obvious in hindsight, was not obvious whatsoever back then. Right. It was just kind of like this magic internet money experiment. But as soon as this transaction was made, all of a sudden Bitcoin had value. It just gave it value, right? Which is why I think it's such a significant event. But here, what I love about this tweet is it shows the other side of the story. So, but perhaps the true hero is Jeremy Sturdivant, who chose Bitcoin over Peaksa, over dollars by accepting Heinzek's offer. So this guy made 10,000 Bitcoin for accepting. He accepted Bitcoin instead of dollars, and if he hodled, he'd be worth $276 million today. Holy crap, legend. But again, did he hodl? Because think about it. Like if you're holding 10,000 Bitcoin, all of a sudden Bitcoin goes up to $2 or $3 or $4. You're like, holy crap! I made a fortune. It's only in hindsight where these things become obvious. So this is what I want to talk about today. The big news is Robert Kennedy Jr., related to President Kennedy of the 1960s that got assassinated. And he made his first public appearance as a presidential candidate at the Bitcoin 2023 conference. That's a very big statement, right? So in politics or these announcements, don't take these types of things lightly. It's not a coincidence. It was a strategic move, and I'll play a part of his speech that he made that he said all the right things. He was very well prepared to talk to Bitcoiners. I'm going to play it for you guys, and then we'll talk about it.
Our campaign will be the first presidential campaign in history to accept Bitcoin donations through the Lightning Network. And today we move one step closer to the future. Today we show the world the power and the durability and the flexibility of Bitcoin. I want to conclude by saying this. Almost everyone in this room is aware of the link between Bitcoin and democracy and freedom. And that's why almost everybody I admit that I meet who is involved in Bitcoin is passionate about it. They're not passionate because it's an interesting currency. They're passionate because of the deep representation of a deep need that we have for liberty and democracy, and the promise that this innovation has to guarantee those virtues. We are now living in this age of turnkey totalitarianism, where this emerging technology which can empower totalitarian regimes. And our job is to try to build and fortify democratic institutions at the same rate as that totalitarian instruments are being expanded in their power. Things like AI, which really are going to threaten democracy at its base. We need to not be chipping away at our democratic institutions. We need to be fortifying the ones that exist and building new ones. And the biggest, most important one on the horizon is Bitcoin, because it can't be manipulated. All of you, I know, are here, again, not because you love a currency, but because you love our country, you love democracy, you love freedom. And in that sense, your support of Bitcoin puts you in the same category as the framers of the Constitution that gave us that Bill of Rights, that created these democratic institutions. And you are the current manifestation of that impulse. So thank you all very much for everything that you do. And thank you for being part of this movement.
Yeah, I also heard someone mention, that something about his voice. He has a neurological disability. That's why he speaks that way. For anyone who doesn't know. So I actually kind of wanted to focus on some things that he said as well, specific things that he would protect as president. And I know a lot of Bitcoiners, you're inherently anti-politics. You're inherently anti-politicians. And the case that I always make is, sure, maybe after the transition, politics become irrelevant. If you read the book, The Sovereign Individual, they make a case for that, right? And I tend to agree with the theory, but it's during the transition period that politicians can make your life a living hell, specifically if you live in a certain jurisdiction, right? So, like I always said, there's going to be an inevitable clash between the party of green, the party of orange, and we better hope we have as many people, powerful people, influential people on the side of orange when that clash happens. Or maybe there isn't a clash. Maybe this is like it's a slow transition. Anyways, goes on to say, quote, "As president, I will make sure that your right to hold and use Bitcoin is inviolable." Kennedy said, "I am an ardent defender and a lifelong defender of civil liberties," as was his relative, John F. Kennedy. And Bitcoin is both an exercise and a guarantee of those freedoms. Quote, none of these lawful and peaceful protesters had violated any law, but suddenly they found that they could not access their money, their bank accounts to pay their mortgages or feed their families. Quote, when I witnessed this devastating use of government repression, I realized for the first time how free money is important as free expression. Of course, he's talking about the truckers' protest, which I might add, Bitcoin Magazine did an incredible job supporting. I know that you guys released a cover specifically covering that. So very thankful for you guys doing that over there, Chris. And goes on to say, Kennedy has publicly expressed his support for Bitcoin since May 2023, acknowledging its separation from other cryptocurrencies and indicating that legislators should support its development rather than hinder it, as with regulations like the Biden administration's proposed tax on energy used by miners. On stage, he reinforced his distaste for such regulations, and he outlined the steps his administration would take to drive Bitcoin innovation in the U.S. Goes on to say, first, I will defend the right of self-custody of Bitcoin and other digital assets. He said, second, I will uphold the right to run a node at home. Third, I will defend industry neutral regulation of energy. Fourth, I will make sure that the United States remains the global hub of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I will reverse the government's growing hostility towards the industry. Finally, he said that he would look closely at whether individuals like Ross Ulbricht, the founder of Darknet, the founder of Silk Road, who received a double life sentence, were prosecuted, quote, for actual crimes or as a meme to crack down on crypto. He went on to say, I will consider pardoning him and I will act very quickly to do so. So not a direct confirmation, but yeah. And I think that the most influential part of all this is the fact that this was his first his first public appearance as an official presidential candidate. This is crazy. I could not have imagined it to go this quickly since, the original announcement by Nayib Bukele at Bitcoin 2021. Like, things have moved so quickly. And I said this on the analyst desk, I'm going to say it again here. There is a non-zero chance that we have a pro-Bitcoin, anti-CBDC president in the White House in 2024, not only on the Democratic side, but also on the Republican side with Governor Ron DeSantis. And he just signed into law in the great state of Florida an anti-central bank digital currency bill. This is absolutely incredible. We know Trump doesn't like Bitcoin. He's very blunt about why he doesn't like it. He says the quiet part out loud. And then the Biden administration, they don't like to say the quiet part out loud, but they clearly don't like that. So, and the reason for that is simple. We've talked about this many times. We've beat this dead horse a million times. And, the DeSantis said it, right? It's not just crazy Bitcoiners saying it. Obviously, they want to control the money. You control money, you control people. And they want to maintain the privilege of being able to create money for free that the rest of us have to work for, right? So these politicians that have benefited tremendously from this system, obviously going to be hostile Bitcoin. But I want to applaud the Bitcoin Magazine team. You guys did an incredible job getting him. Also Tulsi Gabbard as well. I suspect these Bitcoin conferences, they're amazing because they break the echo chamber. These aren't people that regularly go on Bitcoin podcasts. These are mainstream officials that are talking about this, and they're talking about the ethos of Bitcoin and the benefits of Bitcoin. So, hats off to you, Chris, and the whole Bitcoin Magazine team. You guys absolutely slayed it. And I can't wait for Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, what type of guests you guys are going to book there. That's going to be very, very exciting as well. So, Chris, what's your take? And then we'll pass it on to Opti.
Yeah, definitely. I got a lot of points. I think it was a great conversation. It's definitely doing really, really well on YouTube. So obviously the mainstream, the masses are loving it as well. First point, he mentioned the Lightning Network. I know Bitcoin gets hit a lot by calling it a boomer technology. A lot of other cryptocurrencies say there's no innovation. It's not fast. It's slow. Takes 10 minutes. He mentioned that you can donate using the Lightning Network. I think that's fascinating. Presidential political candidate to accept Bitcoin. He knew the difference between on-chain Bitcoin and Lightning Network, and using the Lightning Network to donate. I think it was very fascinating that he mentioned the Canadian truckers. We had the chance, Nico, Opti, and myself, to talk to BTC Sessions and talking about learning from the mistakes of the Canadian truckers protest. And obviously, when you use on-chain Bitcoin, there's inherent risk to being KYC'd. So if you bought your Bitcoin from a KYC exchange, when the Canadian government did a crackdown, basically they were able to say, hey, Chris bought it from Binance, Coinbase, whatever exchange you Strike, Swan, whatever. And if they forced companies to dox who bought Bitcoin and what the addresses were from, basically you can get doxxed. When you're using the Lightning Network, it's not inherently private for someone that's receiving the Bitcoin, but it is more private for someone sending Bitcoin. So this is a good thing for donations. If I'd wanted to donate to RFK, I don't have to dox who I am by sending it over the Lightning Network. I think this is a very important thing. It keeps anonymity involved, and it helps protect basically that if someone gets in office and said, I don't like this Bitcoin thing, you donate to RFK, you're on a list now for the government. This is a way to keep it more private, which I think is a big
100%.
thing. Like I said, this was a big thing for the masses. Obviously, RFK is a Kennedy. It's like a family name. Obviously, his uncle was a president that was unfortunately assassinated back in the 60s. But he's a name that's well known to the masses and people all over the world. So I think this is very important because you're like, hey, RFK, the Kennedys, oh, he's talking about Bitcoin. I've never heard about Bitcoin before. Or, wow, this is very interesting. He was at a Bitcoin conference and his first time talking was at a Bitcoin conference. That's interesting. It makes someone that's never heard of Bitcoin, or it's their first touch point to be like, wow, a presidential candidate is thinking about Bitcoin. maybe this is an important technology, an important protocol, an important money that I should look into. So I hope that this helps wake up the masses to understand and go like down the rabbit hole of what is Bitcoin. I think it's very important that we had Vivek Ramaswamy, who's a Republican. We had Tulsi Gabbard, who is an independent, or she was a Democrat, leaning more Republican conservative, and now she's kind of an independent. And then we had RFK, who is a Democrat. So we basically are covering all our bases. That this is bipartisan money. This is not a partisan issue. It's for Democrats, it's for Republicans, or it's for people that are politically homeless. I think that's very, very important. One more thing, and I hate to put my Nico Jones hat on here, but Bitcoin Magazine, we were obviously monitoring a lot of conservative Twitter profile handles, Democratic Twitter profile handles, and all this. The Democrats, or I forget which handle it was, but they were listing if Biden's going to run in 2024. Basically Biden was at the top, then Kamala Harris was second, then Clinton, and there was a list of other Democrats. RFK was not listed as a potential for winning the election and showing percentages of what people think they were. And then there was also another column for if he doesn't run, it was basically Kamala Harris was the top then Hillary Clinton was second, and then a bunch of other Democrats. Once again, he was not listed in the poll for thinking that he has a chance of winning. And there were some Democrats that were polling at less than 0.5%. It's it's very interesting that they didn't include Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on their polling list for a potential candidate to win. So very, very interesting why the mainstream media and the mainstream, the political elites in the Democratic class are not including them, even though he is a Democrat by name. Very, very interesting. I will reiterate one last point and I'll send it over to you guys. Q, my good friend Q Gaimi, that was on the news desk a bunch for us at this year's conference. He said, don't trust, verify. He's like, we've been burned one too many times by politicians. He will say that he really loved what RFK was saying. He said his script writer and everything, they nailed it on the head in this talk. He thinks it was the best of the three political candidates for talking about Bitcoin and everything, but don't trust, verify. We've been burned one too many times by Eric Adams of New York and many other politicians basically using Bitcoin to try and grift, to try and gain votes, to try and gain their donations, only for them to do a 180 and flip on us and say, oh, Bitcoin's bad for the environment or mining's bad for the environment. So while I am very happy with RFK, making his first stop at our conference and saying to the masses, this is definitely good for people to wake up and learn about Bitcoin, but don't trust them. Believe in their actions, not in what they say. So I'll be very, very interesting to see if he gets in office or even what he says throughout the trail regarding Bitcoin going forward. So I hope that was a good recap. Back over to you, Opti.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I can't reiterate that enough. Chris, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Don't trust, verify. But I think the signal, and you buried the lead there a little bit, was if you see independent polls, he's actually in second place. He has 19% support, and the Democratic, I don't call it mainstream media anymore. I think independent content creators are the mainstream media now. And I think that, as time progresses in the next 5-10 years, legacy media will continue to die off. And the truth sayers that were on legacy media, and Chris, me and you have gone back and forth on this. One of the biggest proponents of Bitcoin was Tucker Carlson, second most popular broadcaster in the world, trailing Joe Rogan, 3.5 average views and listens per episode. And he was taken off air, right? So it's interesting, right? The Bitcoin supporters, for some reason, it's this can't happen. And one other interesting part is apparently the Democratic National Convention, they don't even want to have a debate between RFK and Biden. They don't even want to allow a debate. So, and that is unprecedented in American history. That doesn't happen, right? This is some crazy totalitarian stuff. I think this is not just a Democrat thing. I think this is the Uniparty fighting back, trying to protect their moat, trying to protect their privilege of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for in order to fund the endless wars and all the other programs and things of which, they'll overcharge for certain things and they'll pocket the difference, right? It's not a coincidence that Nancy Pelosi and, to name one, there's plenty, have $100 million net worths. And Elizabeth Warren, to say the least, right? have 50 to $100 million net worths and they're on a government salary. How does that happen? There's a lot of questions there. So, it makes sense why they would fight back. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on this? I know that Opti's not a fan of politicians whatsoever. So what's your take on this, brother?
Yeah. Well, obviously I agree with you guys, and my take is a little more cynical, which is kind of what Q was saying. Like, shouts out to the Bitcoiner that wrote RFK speech, or rather maybe just briefed him on Bitcoin, because he absolutely slayed it. RFK basically said almost all the right things, and it is beautiful to see that the Bitcoin message is getting outside of just all of us on Twitter. And what do we talk about all the time here? It's the importance of breaking the Bitcoin echo chamber. And like I say it all the time, and Nico mentioned, like, I am fundamentally distrustful of politics, but something that Nico told me, and it really, really sunk in, is we don't have to trust him. If his incentives are aligned with Bitcoin, then we may be on the vanguard of a new political game. And let's not forget that politics is all about power, and the money printer fuels that power. So I think we are starting to see a new horizon here, and it's kind of kudos to the Bitcoin Mag team and all of us that are trying to break out of the echo chamber, because we don't have to convince each other about Bitcoin being right. It's about trying to convince the normie out there that, hey, maybe we have something here that you want to use that will improve your life, that escapes you from the fiat rat race. So it is very interesting to see a presidential candidate or potential presidential candidate endorse Bitcoin. Again, cynical take as someone that's skeptical of politics. It does feel a lot like I like Bitcoin, send me Bitcoin vibes. So I will be a little mindful of not being fully endorsing a presidential candidate. But again, it's something we say all the time, that Bitcoin is breaking into the mainstream, and Bitcoiners are becoming one of the biggest and largest voting blocks in the world. So I love hearing him talk about what we talk about. And I don't think we need to be allowed to use Bitcoin. The Imperial City has no power here. You don't need permission to run a node, to stack sats, and take Bitcoin into self-custody. It's a permissionless monetary network by design, the most inclusive and fair money in the world. So it is awesome to see it starting to become a bipartisan issue. But I'm a paranoid Bitcoiner. I'm skeptical of politics in general, because we know, like Chris said, that we've been burned in the past.
Yeah, Opti, just following up off that, we're seeing the sovereign individual play out. Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. Politicians need Bitcoin. That's what the point that we're at right now. Very 100%, cool to see.
100%. So we'll stay on top of this, guys, as it develops. But holy crap, I can't believe we are here in the movie. Boy, oh boy, have things escalated very, very quickly. It was really, 2020 Bitcoin 2021, just Jack Mahler's speech, Nayib Bukele, and things have accelerated. And I think next cycle, Michael Saylor is going to be vindicated on the public company front, and on the nation state level, Nayib Bukele is going to be vindicated as well. And I know we're over the target, because the legacy corporate media is absolutely going bananas, and they're trying to spin it, and they're trying to misrepresent it, and they're doing everything in their power to try to throw things at this. But it's going to be undeniable, the next cycle. So 2024, end of 2024, heading into 2025. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's jump straight into news. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream Jade today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Also, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. It's the #1 resource for Bitcoin events. Create a Bitcoin only event. Find a Bitcoin only event near you, or search by location and date. Did you move to a new city? You don't know any Bitcoiners around you? Jump on the Orange Pill app. It will tell you the Bitcoiners around you. Also, shout out to all the people that have been sending Opti and I messages. We actually go take the time to answer back to each one of you. So really, really appreciate it. If you're guys are going to go to Nashville next year for the conference, just download the Orange Pill app. It's a great way to connect with Bitcoiners near you. Anyway, so some news coming out of Europe. Mika, and what's interesting about Mika is, and Christine Lagarde, Opti's ex-girlfriend, who, is hell-bent on destroying Bitcoin because Opti broke her heart, or maybe it was the other way around. I have no idea. Opti clearly did something. But basically, she referred to this as, she hoped that the Mika was going to be used to cut off close the escape valve, so to speak. And that's her term, right? And, in the fiat system, if there's an escape valve, people are going to use it. That's Christine Lagarde's words. It's not my words. So it finally passed. It was unanimously passed. I'm going to get into the details of what it is. So it says EU Council sounds on MiCA regulation, new reporting requirements on crypto assets. It goes on to say the EU Council, which represents 27 member states, unanimously approved the markets and crypto assets regulation, making the bloc set to be the first major jurisdiction in the world with crypto licensing regime. MiCA requires crypto firms such as wallet providers and exchanges to seek a license to operate across the block and stablecoin issuers to hold suitable reserves. The rules are expected to be rolled out from 2024. Quote, ministers also agreed on new measures to force crypto providers to disclose details of their customers' holdings to tax authorities, which will be shared within the block in a bid to avoid stashing funds in secret overseas wallets. That's the part that I want you guys to pay attention to. That's not how it works. What do you mean secret overseas wallets? Maybe that applies to how the current banking system works, right? But that's a very big tell. It tells you a lot, right? Because that's how they perceive this thing. They're trying to apply the old mechanisms of control, and they're trying to apply that onto something of which they can't. Look, they can regulate the on and off ramps all they want. I feel like that's what they're going to put the most pressure on. I also suspect that, especially mobile wallets, like if you download a mobile wallet and you have an iPhone, you have to go through the App Store approval process, which is very easy for governments to knock on the door of Apple and say, hey, listen, you can't allow people to download a wallet unless that wallet has KYC built in. Right. And I think this is where this is heading. So it goes on to say, quote, they agreed on a requirement that from January 2026, service providers obtain the name of senders and beneficiaries in crypto assets, regardless of the amount being transferred. Remember, it was $1,000 first. I was like, no, $1,000 is okay. Now they got rid of that altogether. Now it's report everything. And it goes on to say there was also an agreement on amending rules on how member countries cooperate with each other in taxation to cover transactions in crypto assets and on exchanging information on advanced tax rulings for the wealthiest individuals. Right. But I think, again, you have to combine this with what the proposed regulations were from the IMF. And it's a big tell because the proposed regulation from the IMF, which are very similar to what Europe rolled out with MiCA, is the IMF said the quiet part out loud. They said these regulations are an attempt to stop the adoption of Bitcoin. Right. So the IMF is saying the reality of why they want to do this. We've talked about the Financial Action Task Force many times on the show. It's an unelected administration that basically gives guidance to the world about what their financial regulations should be. It's always under the guise of money laundering, terrorism, drugs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, kind of saying the quiet part out loud. And it's important that you connect the dots, because if you just see MiCA by itself, you'd be like, Nico, you're seeing things. But if you start connecting the dots, it paints a different story. So Financial Action Task Force pushes Pakistan to ban Bitcoin, urges G7 to enact stricter financial surveillance. Pakistani government is set to ban Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in the country following the Financial Action Task Force guidance, while Financial Action urges more countries to adopt its surveillance regime. So, I think this is just the first step in Europe. Like we already know what the Financial Action Task Force, and they advise every country in the G7 what to do. So they're already telling you what they want. They want this thing banned outright. And then connect this with Opti's ex-girlfriend's words, the escape valve, right? So this is just a slow creep. And this is why it's so important to connect it with RFK Jr. in the beginning. This is why it's so important to have, influential people on both sides of the political aisle saying the quiet part out loud, saying as to why they want to ban this, saying as to why they want central bank digital currencies. It's not Bitcoiners saying this. It's RFK Jr., it's Ron DeSantis, it's Tulsi Gabbard, and they're literally telling you it's because they want to control you. It's not Bitcoiners saying this. It's them saying that. Bitcoiners did say it first, though. Quote, Pakistan will ban cryptocurrency services from operating in the country and never legalize crypto trading. Pasha said banning crypto was one of the requirements set by the Financial Action Task Force, which removed Pakistan from its gray list in October. You see how they do that? Right? We'll remove you from the gray list, but you got to ban Bitcoin. It's very similar. Do you guys remember what the conditions were for Argentina? If the IMF were to give them a bailout, what did they say to the Argentine government? You must de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin. So is it really about money laundering? Is it really about money laundering? Goes on to say, quote, the gray list contains countries the body considers deficient in anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing measures, but they are working with it to remedy their shortcomings. Cryptocurrency has been gaining increasing popularity in Pakistan, with the annual trading volume going up to 25 billion, up from approximately 18 to 20 billion. Banks in Pakistan have already started informing customers that cryptocurrency trading is illegal. Goes on to say, this attempted ban comes at a time of political turmoil for Pakistan, while, quote, the Pakistani rupee's value has fallen a staggering 57.4% against the dollar over the past year. So I'm going to say this because I think this is the part where it's an indefensible position for them. They want you to lose the money that decreases in value. They're forcing you to use the money. This is not only happening in Pakistan. This happened in Nigeria. This happened in Argentina. And Argentina is the most disgusting out of everything. 104% inflation. Supposedly the IMF was set up, right? And I asked Alex Gladstein point blank about this at the Thank God for Bitcoin event, and we had a fireside chat. And I asked him. I said, "They're lying, aren't they?" Right? And it's about power and control. So the IMF is not, the IMF and the Financial Action Task Force. I don't believe them. This is not about money laundering. It's about protecting their moat. This is about destroying that escape valve. And if it means forcing people to endure 57% inflation or 104% inflation, they don't care. That's fine. What is a bigger threat to financial stability of the individuals of these countries? Bitcoin or dealing with 57 to 104% inflation? What do you think is a bigger threat to financial stability of these countries? Obviously the inflation, but it's a threat to the IMF and the Financial Actions Task Force moat. And that's what this is about. Don't get gaslit. Don't buy into these buzzwords that they keep saying: money laundering, financial stability, volatility, bullshit. Make them answer the question, because they do not have a response to it. That's why the Treasury avoids it like the plague. People are not opting out into Bitcoin because they want more efficient payments. People are opting out into Bitcoin because they want to use a money that doesn't fucking steal from them. That is the reason that they're opting out. They don't have a response to that. Make them answer that question. Pressure them. Color within the lines. You got to do it right. Make them answer that question. Very simple question. Why are we being forced to use a money that steals from us? Why are we doing that? Money can exist. And Bitcoin has proven this. Money can exist that not only does it not steal from you, but it actually increases in purchasing power over time. And that's something that we have to continue to highlight, and that's something that we have to continue to expose. And our memetics are much better than theirs. They have a narrative, they have lies and misrepresentations and spin. We have the truth on our side. All we got to do is highlight the truth. If enough people wake up to this reality and take self-custody, we will win, and there's nothing they can do about it. Anyways, pass it on to you, Chris, and then Opti.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the most important wallets that is going on right now, you mentioned kind of like with mobile wallets, there's issues with that. If the App Store decides to ban use of mobile Bitcoin wallets, Mutiny Wallet is a team by Tony, Ben the Carman, and Paul Miller. They're trying to do a web-based wallet. So meaning as long as you have connection to a web browser, you can use this wallet. And basically they're integrating, a Bitcoin Core and a Lightning node running on the web, which is very, very cool. And it's awesome. It's a way to skirt around a lot of the mobile restrictions if they hit Google and Apple saying like you're not allowed to list these in the Google Play Store and the App Store. One thing that's very, very funny though, that's kind of missed by many Bitcoiners. Actually, Europe shot themselves in the foot. What I mean by this is they're obviously trying to push for stricter and harsher financial regulations. But what many people didn't realize, something that passed, I think in 2021 or 2022, so just very recently, they basically won a lawsuit. The EU won a lawsuit against Apple saying that Apple had monopolistic practices by only listing the App Store. Obviously, when you have an iPhone, you can only use the App Store to download apps. Since the EU won this lawsuit against Apple, it means that Apple has to open up to third-party app stores, meaning that in theory, even when you list an app like a mobile iPhone app and you have to go through the Apple approval process, developers now with this lawsuit passing and Apple losing, they have to welcome third-party app stores. So meaning that you guys like Opti, Chris, and Nico could have an app store and we could list Bitcoin apps in there. So obviously, maybe even though the EU would be like, hey, Apple, we're saying that you have to ban iPhone apps, but the EU already passed a law saying that Apple has to force and allow third-party stores and apps. So even though that they're like, they can put pressure on Apple to do things, with Apple being forced to use third-party stores on their devices going forward, I think it's implemented in the beginning of 2024. So right when these restrictions are coming into place, basically, I hope that it would be even funnier if there's ways to go around it by these third-party stores. Last, the FAFSA, the Financial Action Task Force are fucking losers. What do I mean by that? We didn't vote for them. Nico, Opti, and myself did not vote for them. People in Europe, people in Africa, people in Asia, they're not voted in. They're appointed by like bureaucratic leaders. So it's rulers. Like it's not rules without rulers. It's rulers, and they dictate the rules. They have like worse. I mean, what is it? They catch 1% of money laundering and fraud charges. That means that they fail 99% of the times. If that's a fucking business, they go out of business. If that's like an employee, they're fired. They are like these gatekeepers that get to be in place and like basically have the ears of many of the world leaders at G7 nations and nations all over the world. And they get to try and enact their policies. So it's a load of fucking bullshit. And the FAFSA, they're a bunch of fucking losers, and Bitcoin is going to put them out of business. Even worse, we said that I said that they failed 99% of the time because money laundering and like fraud happens. I mean, you just want to hit up HSBC or JP Morgan. If you have enough money, they'll gladly help launder your money or fucking help you with wire fraud and shit. So it's really fucking stupid. Last and final point is you don't ban Bitcoin. You ban yourself from the benefits of Bitcoin. So I feel really bad for the citizens of Pakistan. Obviously, I think their peer-to-peer markets are going to explode in growth. And that's a good thing for the people that are using it. But I think it's a shame for the people that are, worried about what could happen going up against nation states. I understand there's risks if you're trying to use Bitcoin when your government's telling you can't. There's obviously inherent risks, and Bitcoiners are trying to build tools that can prevent them from finding out who you are and basically using those rules and laws that they change on a whim to try and hurt their citizens and keep them in the cage that is the fiat system. Back over to you guys.
No, beautiful. And I completely agree in terms of, this is an unelected body. But I'm really glad that you brought up that point about the lawsuit against Apple that might ended up biting them in the ass. Now, what's going to be really interesting is if they walk it back.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Like that's the thing. Like, but they were saying that Apple is being a monopolistic hegemony and that they have to let, competition come in. It can't just be the App Store. So it's very, very interesting that like these third-party app stores are going to show up and like, oh, Apple banned all these apps or they're not allowed to use Nostr or whatever, Damus. Like, but then we have like the Bitcoiner store and we're going to list all the things that we want that to go in there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, and I say this all the time, like one of my favorite features of Bitcoin is that it exposes incentives, right? Mm-hmm. So it exposes the true incentives of what these people are all about. Are they truly about money laundering, terrorism, and all these things? Or are they really about protecting their moat? It's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. They don't give a flying F about that stuff. What they really care about is having the control, being the gatekeepers, being the intermediaries of who's entitled to use money and who's not entitled to use money. Anyways, pass it on to you, Opti, and then we'll hit the culture.
Well, first and foremost, Chris, go off, King. Let's go. Okay. My thoughts are all this regulation or overregulation, it just proves to me that the powers that be are scared. They are doing their best to control not only Bitcoin, but their traditional system. And they can overregulate all they want. And it's their attempt of trying to slow adoption, or rather trying to stop adoption, but they can't control Bitcoin. They have lost control of their system. And you think that they can control this system that was literally designed for them not to control? Like they really are dinosaurs and relics of the past, and they're clamoring for control right now. And it's becoming more and more obvious that we can't be naive in our thinking that, oh, they just don't know what's going on. I think we can kind of lean into the fact that like they are doing their best to not expose their game. And they're just trying to do it with, of course, the guidance or the view that this is for your protection from financial criminals and terrorists and money launderers and all this stuff. But it really does sound like projection, like Nico pointed out. Hidden offshore wallet sounds very familiar. I think we've heard this story before, and it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But, maybe I'm being naive or more like tinfoil hat here, but I don't think this will have any effect. This is just them trying to clamor for control. And maybe to the average person out there, this may seem like, oh, they're doing some good. But hey, Bitcoin will find a way to route around this. And like I said, the powers that be can't even control their system that is totally surveilled. And you think that they can do this to Bitcoin, which is designed for them not to control. And what do we say here all the time? And Chris said it, can't ban Bitcoin. You can only ban yourself from Bitcoin or the benefits of Bitcoin. So, hey, I hate to see this happen, but I think moving forward, we will be seeing a lot more of this happen as the governments, the politicians, the central planners of the world expose their hand and tell us who they really are. They want to completely control you. Well, we have the tools to stop that from happening, and it's called opting out and holding Bitcoin, taking Bitcoin into self-custody, running the nodes. This is what you need to do. It's very simple. It's cut and dry. Do not get bamboozled by all the noise. Stick to the signal. Run the network for yourself and take Bitcoin into self-custody and opt out of the madness.
100% opt out of the madness. We will win this, guys. Just got to keep on the pressure, keep educating, keep getting the message out there. It's not red versus blue. It's not left versus right. That's the distraction. That's the divide and conquer. It's orange versus green. And I think over time, more and more people will wake up, and you'll see people of different ideologies coming together. Bitcoin is the great unifier. You fix the money, you fix the world, and we're going to win this thing. All right, everybody, let's jump into the culture. But before we jump into the culture, guys, we've been talking a lot about this, talking about how do we win the peaceful Bitcoin revolution? Well, the first thing, you got to take Bitcoin into self-custody. But if you take it into self-custody and you write down your 24-word or 12-word seed phrase and you write it down on paper, paper is prone to water damage, fire damage, it can be eaten by a dog. You want to store your generational wealth on steel. Check out the BitPlates Domino. It's easy to use, hard to destroy. It's designed to preserve Bitcoin wallet backup seed words and passphrases made from highly corrosion-resistant 316 marine-grade stainless steel, and offers the ultimate protection against extremes of temperatures. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off any BitPlate products. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. Also, guys, I want to tell you about Swan's new offer. Bitcoin is generational wealth, and you could secure your bright orange future with the Swan IRA. Real Bitcoin, no taxes. Swan offers both traditional and Roth options to best fit your needs. Create your IRA and start adding Bitcoin in less than 1 minute. Transfers and rollovers are available. Swan's Bitcoin experts will get you set up with no transfer fees and no minimum balance requirements. This is real Bitcoin, non ETF or other derivative. Get the real thing and get it at Swan. Go to swan.com/IRA for more details. And of course, if you have any questions, doubts, concerns, you could always hit me up on Twitter or the Orange Pill app, and I'll be happy to answer them. Anyways, Opti, what are we talking about today, my friend?
We're talking all things conference, and I think it's I'm really glad that we got Chris on today, because I really do think that people underestimate the importance of this conference. And we talked about it earlier in the show about breaking out of the echo chamber. And I think you guys absolutely killed it. I know this year that the conference was a little smaller than in the past, but I was sitting there and I had a profound epiphany watching all of my friends on the analyst desk. And I'm like, wow, we are putting on like a professional ESPN stream for Bitcoin, and we are breaking into the mainstream consciousness. And I know you guys got a lot of flack this year, Chris, but how do you think the execution of this year conference versus those in the past? And what are you happy about? What are you proud of what you guys did today, or rather this weekend?
Yeah, no, it's truly an honor and a privilege to put on this conference. We are trying to, the mission of Bitcoin Magazine is hyper-Bitcoinization. So bringing Bitcoin, which we see as a superior money for the world and individuals, and trying to spread it to the masses. So yeah, like I'm very proud. I was running the news desk. I got to moderate on the news desk as well. So it was a lot of work. And as you can tell by my voice is shot, but I had a blast being on the desk with you guys. You guys crushed it as well. But yeah, really great conference. I mean, this is something that is difficult to execute. People don't realize all the work that goes in behind the scenes. It was a smaller conference, obviously, because of the bear market, but we were building the foundations, having 3 presidential candidates be here. Like, this is huge. Bitcoin 2024 is going to be in Nashville. It's going to be a month or a couple weeks before Democratic and primaries for both the primaries for both the Democratic and Republican Party. So, hopefully we'll have more presidential candidates and even more talks about Bitcoin, obviously debating CBDCs, the presidents or the presidential candidates that are trying to push those things. Hopefully we'll have the counter narrative or the candidates that see Bitcoin's actually a way better alternative than forcing your citizens into this slave money that is CBDCs. Like I said, execution of this event I thought was excellent. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, and we're trying to build it and make it better and better each and every year. And my final thing is I want to say thank you to the city of Miami. They welcomed us in 2021 when many other cities were turning us away. They were threatening to shut us down. They were calling us, we were killing people's grandmothers. They had a bunch of choice words for things that we were doing, trying to do an event of that large in 2021 and 2022. We don't need to get into the ramifications of that or what people were calling us in that regard. But yeah, like it was truly an honor. They welcomed us and we went there for 3 years. We had a competitive bidding process for what cities we wanted to go to next. And we see Bitcoin as a global money. And obviously we have the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference. We're doing that again this year, which we're really excited to do. But we're trying to bring this to many cities across the world, not just the United States, but all over the globe. So we're really excited for things that we're rolling out. Look forward to so obviously Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, Bitcoin Amsterdam at the tail end of this year, and then kind of expanding from there. I'm not sure where we're going to go next. Our conference team's keeping that close to the chest, but really, really excited to bring this large conference to the masses. I hope you guys had a great time at the event. And that's pretty much all I got for now.
Let's go. Absolutely love it. And yeah, we kind of talked about this in the beginning of the show, but I'd like to reemphasize because Chris, you and I had this conversation in person, and it's very interesting how the conversation at the Bitcoin conference, rolled out. And it was very interesting to see the political nature of everything going on at the conference. And I really do think there is a lot to be learned by understanding that, yes, maybe we do have our own perspectives, but we are moving the Overton window here, and we are trying to do our best to get the everyday person to get into Bitcoin, to understand why we Bitcoin. And hey, if it takes some of these presidential candidates, some of these people that are a little better known than all of us to get that conversation going, I think this is something that we can lean into to spread the Bitcoin message. What's your thoughts on this, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I don't need to preach to you guys why Bitcoin is a great thing. You guys do this every day. But if we can wake up the masses and, hyper Bitcoinize the world. I know Corey was always mentioning, the goal is orange pilling the next 10 million Bitcoiners. And I think that this event is a launch pad or like a platform for making that happen. Having RFK, having Tulsi Gabbard, having Michael Lewis, having all these different people that affect the mainstream mind virus or the narrative. Obviously, Nico loves Tucker Carlson, and he is obviously the second most important person. We were in communication with his team. He couldn't make it this year because he has a lot going on, but he was at Bitcoin 2022 and he loved the event. And obviously Michael Saylor, Nayib Bukele, Max Kaiser helped orange pill him along the process. We would love to have him for 2024. So maybe this is my preemptive ask to get Tucker Carlson at the conference, maybe as from more of the independent journalist route side of things now that he has left Fox. But yeah, I mean, it's a great event, and our thing is to pushing it to the masses. We're not trying to force people to use Bitcoin, but we're just trying to show people by proof of work that Bitcoin's a better money. It doesn't devalue over time. It actually goes up in value over time, and to basically teach people about the system that they're trapped in when they're stuck in fiat.
Yeah, 100%. So, and I want to ask you this, Chris, what is in because there's always one memorable moment. What was the highlight of the
Wait. I wanted to ask the same one too. Let's give it a 2-part. What was your personal highlight? And then what do you think was the conference highlight?
Ooh, all right. My personal highlight was being on that news desk. Being able to run the news desk this year was awesome. Obviously, I got to be on the desk with all of my friends, you guys up on the desk as well. Being with some people that I look up to, like Preston Pish, Michael Saylor, Caitlin Long. It was really cool. And just everyone that I got to share the desk with. It was truly an honor moderating that. Something that stuck out, obviously, I think RFK is definitely one of the big ones. And yeah, just watching all of my friends, obviously I work at Bitcoin Magazine, watching us execute this event in the midst of a bear market. And we got a lot of compliments. Obviously we see the gripes on Twitter, basically, making fun of things that we did. And yeah, granted, there are mistakes and things we can definitely look back and, afterwards go through with a fine tooth comb and kind of iterate for next year in Nashville, which we're really excited for. But I think we executed an event pretty flawlessly. And I'd love your thoughts, Opti, Nico. What are your thoughts on the event in general?
I thought it was great. I had a blast. Like I said before, I got to see what it means to be a Bitcoin content creator on the back end, and I've seen it on the front end, and it really should not be underestimated how much effort it takes to put on something of this nature. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was a highly professional conference. I literally was sitting here and I'm like, wow, this reminds me of like an ESPN broadcast about Bitcoin. I absolutely love it. And then of course, my personal highlight is you guys giving me the nod, me being on the news desk and then just kind of hanging out, rubbing elbows with all my friends. And it's always just a mecca, a little trip of refreshments, of hanging with my friends, being revitalized, charging my battery. And of course, hey, I'm a huge fan of Miami, but I'm excited to get to Nashville. I've never been, and I hear a lot of good things from some of my friends that work over at Bitcoin Mag. So I'm excited to get over there.
Yeah, you're in for a treat, Opti. Obviously, Bitcoin Magazine, we are headquartered there. There's Bitcoin Park, and then we'll be at the Nashville Convention Center for the conference. So I'm sure there's going to be an awesome side events at our headquarters, at the at the headquarters at Bitcoin Park. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff. And yeah, I mean, I tweeted this morning. I hope everyone made it back home safe. It's a bummer that it happened in a flash. I wish I had more hours in the day to hang out, talk, and meet with more awesome Bitcoiners. It's definitely something that kind of fills you with hope, fills you with happiness and joy, being with your friends, watching your friends absolutely crush it on the news desk. I'm referring to obviously you guys, Opti and Nico, and just kind of executing an event flawlessly. Like I said, there's always room for improvement, so we're looking forward to make it even better in 2024. And don't forget, use code SIMPLY, get your tickets for Bitcoin 2024. We get a lot of flack every year when we get close to the event that the ticket prices are too high. They're no cheaper than they are today. The only time they were slightly cheaper is when you were at the conference this year. You can get them for I think 60 or 80 bucks cheaper, but $300 for a GA day ticket to hang out at the conference and see so many awesome, amazing speakers. I think it's a steal. Maybe I'm a little biased, but And then you can use code Simply, get even a small discount on that too. So
yep, get your early bird tickets. Everyone waits the last minute and then they complain about the prices. If you buy them now, it's super cheap. 2 days of, if you're trying to get a job in the industry, there's literally no better place to do it. Opti and I met for the first time in person at the Bitcoin conference. I've had many opportunities on a personal level, my personal career, that these conferences, especially if you're trying to trying to get into the space, trying to get a job at the space, trying to figure out what the space is all about, the Bitcoin, there's no better place than the Bitcoin conference, either Bitcoin 2023 and the one coming up, which is Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. Again, promo code Simply, get yourself a nice discount. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the meme review. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboom Racks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboom Racks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboom Racks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboom Racks.
Kaboom Racks. Shouts out to the Kaboom Racks guys. We were hanging out at their booth all weekend. Anyways, you guys already know this is your favorite portion of the show, the meme review, where you guys send us memes and we review them, and then you guys give us your scores in the chat.
Wait, who made this?
Honestly, let me get there. Hold on, Nico. Hold on. Okay, you know the deal. Tweets are the bullets. Memes are the artillery. We are in an information war, guys. Continue to get the calls of actions. Continue to ridicule the corporate press. Continue to keep your friends' spirits up and make them laugh. Make some funnies. This is the way. Anyways, as Nico asked me, I don't remember. Who made this one. This one was dropped in our Telegram group. Actually, it was Truth. Truth, he's joined the team, helping us on the back end do some stuff. I'm pretty sure he's the one that made it. If I'm wrong, forgive me. Anyways, this first meme is the touching of the tips ceremony, and as you can tell, Nico still has the blonde tips, and we got the Super Saiyan. What's the, I don't know what this is called. Anyways, we got Sessions and Nico here, and there's a screenshot at the top. It goes, "Let's touch tips, broski." And then they touch tips and look at Nico's eyes. He's literally out of body, and it goes, "What's happening?" And you can see on the bottom, their eyes turn into laser eyes, and it goes, "Bit power activated." Okay, this next one, shouts out the Darth coin. Everyone was very surprised that I'm not a small dork on YouTube, and they're like, "Hey, Opti, how are you so yoked?" Anyways, we got the classic Dogecoin.
Just go to the gym. Just go to the gym.
Just go to the gym and eat a lot of protein. Anyways, we got the big Doge dog here, and it goes, "Opti BTC 2023 looking like a huge Chad," and then Simply Bitcoin Opti looking like a small dork Doge dog. Okay. Absolutely love it. All right, this next one is by Selly. Shouts out to Selly. And we got a picture here of Selly with Big Sean and the lovely Mrs. Sessions and BTC Sessions himself, and you can see they're all wearing black shirts, and it goes predicted inflation, and they're all tiny in comparison to Big Sean Harris, which is the actual inflation. Shouts out to Big Sean Harris. He's a monster. All right, this next one is at Maxie's Club, and it goes 402 already, and we got the classic meme template of someone in a car with a friend, but this someone is yellow, and it goes, "What a nice day to know that you are also a Bitcoin maxi." And the person in the passenger seat goes, "Yes, I have all my Bitcoin on exchanges." And then yellow kicks the person out of the car, and it goes, "What a nice day without you, because you don't understand that it's not your Bitcoin if it's only on an exchange." Okay, this next one is by Jose S. Bam, and it just goes #Bitcoin. And I really like this because this is the energy. I think this is what a lot of Bitcoiners maybe feel internally, but also some of them are actually living this in the flesh. And we got this, heroic Chad conqueror here that is conquering a new world, and it goes, "How my grandchildren will imagine me fighting for Bitcoin in the third and fourth epochs, a warrior of truth." Okay, this next meme is by RDBTC, and it goes, "Please understand #Bitcoin." And I think this is a Xavier, Mr. X from Wolverine, but I could be wrong. And it goes, "Me trying to make my friends and family understand Bitcoin before it's too late, and you're just using all the mental power you can to try to explain to people that they need to hold Bitcoin, or they might get rug pulled by the legacy financial system. This next one, Nico, might be a little contentious, and but I think this one's hilarious. So shouts out to Psychedelic Bart, and it goes, birth control effectiveness. Condoms, 99%. Birth control pills, 99%. Dressing like a wizard at a Bitcoin conference, 100% effective. Okay. All right. Drop your meme review score in the chat as we cover ours live. And in honor of the Bitcoin conference, I'm going to give it my speaker pass that is still on my wrist.
I was going to give that too.
But yours isn't on. You cut yours. Is yours cut? He cut his.
It's cut, and it's next to my speaker pass for first year I spoke. Had the privilege of speaking at a Bitcoin conference. This is Bitcoin 2021. So I'm going to put it right next to that. I love saving the memories. But anyways, Chris, what's your meme score?
Yeah, so my score is these beautiful proof of paint playing cards. Ooh. So they are, the House of Fiat is what it's called, House of Fiat cards. Also for people that are subscribers to the Gatekeeper issue that we dropped at the conference, the beautiful picture of Julian Assange on the cover. Anyone that is a subscriber, you will get a limited edition Joker Julian Assange card as an insert in the magazine. So you can pick up these and then put in the Julian Assange, but yeah, they're done by Proof of Paint. If you order them at bitcoinmagazine.com in the art section, I know they're a deck of cards, but they're beautifully well done. It supports him as an artist. I can't recommend them enough. Can't wait to crack open a couple cold beers and have a good one there. Yeah, and then also if you go to art, go to the art tab up there, up on the top, and then go to Fiat House of Cards. Yep. And I know they are a little pricey. The work that he put into them was a lot of work. There's a revenue split between us and him. And yeah, I mean, they're beautiful. Just like some of the annotations on there, they're really, really awesome. So can't wait to crack into these and use them.
Very, very cool. All right, everybody, let's get to the meme scores. But first, cue the epic music. All right, Opti. Wait a second. No. We can't do that. We have to give a shout out to our clothing sponsor, RepresentLTD.com. Sorry, guys, I took a week break for the conference. Opti and I wear the merch every single day. I'm wearing the classic camo Represent hoodie. It's not the Simply Bitcoin one. It's the grenade one. It's super awesome. Opti's wearing the Bitcoin merch. It's the Bitcoin Angel with an AK-47 in his hands. So check out the RepresentLTD.com store. I also think that there's some snapbacks still available. If you scan the QR code on your screen right now, it will take you directly to the website, and you could use the promo code simply-bitcoin and get yourself a nice 10% discount. All right, Opti.
Hold on, Nico. Before you go, can confirm that Nico's closet is just full with a bunch of camo hoodies. That's all he's got.
I love Represent LTD. I was going to wear my shirt, but I wore it at the conference and it smelled like crap. So, I'm doing you guys a favor by not wearing it. But dude, the clothing there is super comfortable. It looks good. You're supporting Simply Bitcoin. It's a no-brainer.
Yep, and it's a Bitcoin company too. They accept Bitcoin if you want to pay in Sats. All right, Opti. Now, cue the epic music. All right, Rave Elevator. I give the memes the Miami suntan everyone got on the first day. Okay. The P-Man van. I give these memes Opti's Apollo 21, all the coffee, vitamins, and meat Opti enjoyed on the way to Miami. I can confirm, and it wasn't just coffee. The Max Trotter, I give the meme Scotch. Give the memes 93 amazing lightning guides by Darthcoin. Shout out Darthcoin. He's holding it down on the Simply Bitcoin Telegram. Wait a second. Pause for a second, because we haven't shilled Simply Bitcoin's Telegram group in quite a while. Guys, it's a party in there. We're almost at 1,000 people. You got to go to www.t.me/simplybitcointv. Join our awesome Telegram group. And shout out to Darthcoin for holding it down. All right, Opti. Let's get back to the scores. And thank you, Darthcoin. We love you, brother.
We got the last one.
All right, Phil C. I gave the memes a 2024 Bitcoin conference without Udi. Ooh, okay. All right, it's the buzzer. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Guys, I'm going to be taking my first break that I've taken in 3 years, basically 3 years that I started this channel. So, but the show will go on. Opti will be in the host seat from Tuesday to Friday, holding it down with our boy Rustin. And I'll be back on either Monday or Tuesday of next week. But it'll be the same regular Simply Bitcoin show, and you guys are in good hands with Opti. I've been training him up, and he's been living up to the pressure, to say the least. Opti's been absolutely killing it. I'm super blessed to have him as my co-host, and I consider him a brother, and you guys are in good hands. But before we wrap up the show, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. Also consider him a brother as well. The one, the only, the legendary Chris Alamo. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, best place to find me is ChrisAlamo6 on Twitter. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I hope everyone that went to Bitcoin 2023 that had a blast. Anyone that couldn't make it, I hope you get your tickets to Bitcoin 2024 or Bitcoin Amsterdam. Would love to have you, give you a hug and meet space and chat it up and hang out in the evenings after the conference. And yeah, guys, keep doing what you're doing. Nico, enjoy your break. You deserved it. You've earned it, my man. You crushed it at the conference. You are like a brother to me, so really appreciate all the hard work that you did, not just here, but at our conference. It really means a lot to us. So thank you so much, man.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me. Like I said, it's totally a privilege, and happy to be a part of this. And it's really something special that you guys throw every year. And I kind of get a background into how difficult these things are to pull off based on my work, not only at Simply, but also at Swan. And it's incredibly difficult, and you guys make it look extremely easy. Anyways, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today on Simply Bitcoin Live. Guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share all Bitcoin content. Get it out there. Don't share shitcoin content. That's counterproductive. That actually hurts the movement. Or maybe it just delays it because it just like sends people off the wrong track. They get wrecked and then they get into Bitcoin. You could just go straight to Bitcoin by sending them Bitcoin content. That's how we win this thing. But there is an after party if you guys want to continue. We are co-hosting a spaces with our friends over at Swan Bitcoin, best place to build your Bitcoin stack. And also our friends over at Bitcoin Magazine, they're co-hosting it with us today. So we're going to be holding it down till 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to jump on stage, maybe Chris, if he has the time, could hang out for a bit, and Opti is going to be holding it down. Until next week, guys, I will see you either on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm literally going to unplug this week and hopefully get a little bit of my sanity back because this has been quite a grind. Anyways, love you all, and enjoy the rest of your week. And Opti will be back tomorrow at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Here, let me bring a few people up. I am going to pick on a few people that I know were hanging out with me in Miami as well, so we can recap a few things. 1 second, let me bring some people up. Hold on. But yeah, man, what a great time. I absolutely had a blast. I love Miami. I know everyone says that Miami's a fiat shitcoin city, but I absolutely love the city. It's beautiful. Anyways, we'll go. Let's start with Bird. I think he's been up here the longest. How you doing? Thoughts? 2 sets? Going once? Going